Looks like we went live. Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully, everybody can hear me. This is Matt Altman, Young Member Council Chair. I just really wanted to welcome everyone and thanks for joining us. It looks like we still have a few folks jumping on the call, up over 30 people now, so really great turnout. We're excited for this session today with Omar Oweis from the Houston Galveston Post. Probably just give it just a few more seconds for the last few folks to call in, so the number keeps jumping up. As an administrative note, too, throughout the presentation, if you have questions or if you have any sort of technical issues, just feel free to write them right in the Q&A session, and we'll be able to get those and then relay them to the presenter. So go ahead and use that interface. Don't be shy to ask questions throughout the presentation as well. Okay, with that, again, welcome today. Really glad to have all you on this call to hear about the Houston Galveston Post Young Member Initiative. We're really thankful to have Omar Oweis, who's the Young Member Director for the Houston Galveston Post. He also works in his daytime job for Jacobs Engineering. And then during the Q&A session, we're thankful to have Patrick Korn join him, who's currently the co-chair for their fundraising for the Young Member Initiative, but he'll be taking over as the Young Member Director next year. So he's the current Young Member Director-elect. So they're already working on their leadership transition. But just really, really thankful that Omar was taking the time to present this today. This came to our attention early this year, probably around January, and really seemed like a great initiative, something, I won't say revolutionary, but pretty interesting. And I know everyone's interested in how to get their young member programs more formalized, more energized, and you know, we are the driving force for the society. So any potential to get more membership, recruit and retain more young members, I know we're all open ears for. So really excited to hear about what the Houston Galveston Post is doing, and thankful that Omar would take the time to speak to us today. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Omar. And again, if you have questions or comments throughout the presentation, just feel free to write them in the Q&A box, and we'll make sure he gets them. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Matt. Hi, everyone. So my name is Omar Oweis, and as Matt mentioned, I'm the Young Member Director for the Houston Galveston Post, and I'm very excited to have the opportunity to present the Young Member Initiative that we got started late last year, beginning of this year. So I'll be running through the presentation and just going over the agenda real quick, just give you a little personal introduction, talk about why the Young Member Initiative came to life, our mission and vision, go through the application process, how we got that started, along with managing all the committees, then give you just a brief overview of where we are right now, and then what our vision is for the future. And I know you'll be able to access this presentation along with some material that we'll be providing for you, and then I'll also have my contact information in the end that you can always shoot me an email or give me a call, and I can help you set this up for your local post if this is something you want to move forward with. So just some brief introduction about myself. My name is Omar Oweis. I graduated from Texas A&M in 2013 with a bachelor's in civil engineering. I joined SAME in the Houston Galveston Post in 2013, and I got started really quickly with SAME. Mr. Buddy Barnes, he's one of the founding fathers of the Houston Galveston Post, got me started with the JETSI conference as a volunteer coordinator, and that's when I started getting really involved. And then soon after, I was put as the Young Member Director for the Houston Galveston Post, and that's when I started with this Young Member Initiative, and wanted to, move forward with it and get more active participation in our post. So why did we start the Young Member Initiative? So just, right off the bat, the Houston Galveston Post has had a lot of young member attendance and a lot of activities over the past 10 years. Mr. Buddy Barnes actually did a great job with that, recruiting and having a board of directors. I think that's actually one of the youngest board of directors in the nation for SAME. Mr. Buddy Barnes found it very effective to have young members serve as leaders, just for succession planning and to make sure the society grows and there's a future for it. So when I came in, there was already a lot of young people. I wanted to make sure that we keep the fire burning, we keep going, we keep motivated, and I wanted to formalize the process of having a young member, sort of initiative going, and something we can carry on from year to year and make sure that, the succession planning is done properly, and we're training these potential future leaders into roles to becoming directors. So I saw that we did have a board of directors, but we had the young member committees, but there wasn't really an opportunity for these young people to kind of work their way up and then eventually, you know, after a year or two of training and learning what the society is about, to become leaders for the society. So we started this young member initiative. It started off, you know, as a pilot kind of program. We had, you know, 4 or 5 people in the program, and then it just snowballed from there. So that's what we will be going through today, and just the process that we did to start it up. I know we are the only post that have it running right now, so it's going to be interesting to see how many other posts want to adopt this initiative, and if they do, I'll be more than happy to help you get it started and get it moving. So this is our vision. It's to develop the next leaders of Houston by focusing on inclusion, growth, development, and recognition. This is what we use on all our brochures and all our marketing material, which is also something, if you're interested in having, I can send most of that information your way as well. So when we started this initiative, we started off with an application process. The way we wanted to have this initiative seen as it's something that you're hand selected for. We wanted the brightest of the brightest people, you know, who are motivated to join society and work their way up in the society. That's very important for retention. A lot of times you see a lot of young people come in and they serve for a year or two, and then they move off to another organization, or they move off to do something else. We wanted to make sure that people are invested. So with this application process, it did give the impression that this is it's going to be a serious commitment. It's going to be something that you're going to be working for a while, and we wanted to make sure that we're growing you and we're developing you so that you can stay in the society and we can benefit from that later on when you take on those leadership roles, especially when you're serving on the board of directors. So this is the application that we have. It just lists some general information: your name, your address, where you work, and then there's some questions on there on, you know, your previous experience. And then what's really important here is which committee would you want to serve on. So you definitely don't want to give people some responsibilities that they're not interested in. You want to try to give them one of their top choices, so they can go through these 5 committees, which are the membership, marketing, outreach, social events, fundraising events, and then there's the floater position. And they can rank them, you know, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and 6th. And that would be what they use. That would be what you would use to determine where you need them the most. Typically, I'd give everyone their first choice, unless we really need someone to be somewhere else, and maybe we can have them do a joint effort, or maybe they can do you know, both committees at the same time. It just depends on how many applications you go through. So after we got this application together, I sent this application out to all the people, all the companies who are sponsors for your local post, and you request each of those companies, whoever represents them, to get 1 young member from each of their companies to be represented on this board. So they present them with an application. You get all those applications in. So after we provided the application, it has these responsibilities, and this is what you would provide all the people interested. And it kind of goes through and explains what they'd be required to do, just some general information on the job itself. And, you know, this is very common across a lot of other societies. It's not, we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're just more of formalizing the process to try to get people interested in joining a program versus just coming into a society and then, you know, trying to figure it out as they go. Typically, structure really helps keep people motivated and keep people going. So after that happens, you go ahead and you select your team. So we started off with just the top 5 people, as you see on there. We had Melody, Aline, David, Adam, and Pacey, and that was it. And then as we started spreading the word, people started getting more interested, and as more people came in, we took all those young members who were interested in becoming leaders and becoming future leaders and becoming developed and trained and mentored, and then we just put them under each of the committee chairs. Those committee chairs that we have on the top line that in red over there were the top. They were great people. They were the first people that showed interest in it, so I put them in those leadership positions. And then everyone else that came in after that, they're also, you know, they've been really motivated and really strong, and they're being mentored by the people, by the committee chairs, so they can work their way up. And this is kind of the succession planning that you'd see. So the people in red would move up, and someone would take over the young member director role. Some people would go on, actually join the board of directors. Some people may even want to change committees, and if someone's in fundraising and they want to try outreach, they can do that as well. We just need to make sure that we try to retain all these people that have joined and keep them, motivated and keep them interested in doing more activities for SAME from year to year, regardless of leadership changing or not. So that was the big key, and that was the hardest thing to do. And it was tough for the first couple of months, but I feel that we're at a point now where everyone's motivated, everyone's doing their job, and all we're doing is we're moving forward and we're getting events done, and more people are joining. So managing the committees is definitely one of the things that the director needs to make sure they have control of. One thing that I adopted was having an annual plan. I went to each of the committee chairs, and they created their own goals for the year. After you get all these commitments and you get that goals, you get all the annual plans set up, and you get the goals set up. We have monthly calls where we actually go through the timeline, we go through the activity, and we see if it's been done or not. If it hasn't been done, we talk about why it wasn't done. If it's something that we can fix, something that we can alter, we'll go ahead and do that. These annual plans are definitely not set in stone. We can go in and we can change them anytime during the year. It just depends on where we are, how the attendance is looking. It's just a way to keep people accountable. Keep your committee chairs accountable. If you're trying to keep everyone accountable and everyone goes through their annual plan and you see it's written on paper, it does make life a whole lot easier. So far we've been doing great. This is also one of the slides I'll be able to send out to everyone if they're interested to kind of go through and see just some of the events that we've held throughout the year. And I'll be able to show you here in a little bit some of the events that we've been doing. So moving forward to succession planning, early on, you kind of see the people who are the most motivated and the people who want to show, that they want to be mentored and they want to be groomed to be the next leaders of SAME. And this year we have Patrick Korn, who's actually one of our panelists today, and he'll be able to chime in once we go into the Q&A session. And Patrick is going to be taking over the young member director role for this program. So I know one of the questions that popped up is our committee chairs also young members, and I'll be able to address that a little bit later. But maybe there is some sort of misunderstanding about the young member director role. So there's a young member director role who serves on the board of directors, and that's me. And I'll still remain as a young member director for the next couple of years since it's a 3-year term. But we also call the young member initiative director, which is what I'm also doing right now. So I'm doing the dual role right now and serving as the young member director for the initiative and on the board of directors. Next year, starting 2017, Patrick is going to be taking over the young member initiative director, and he'll be taking over just the day-to-day activities for the initiative and make sure it continues to go and continues to grow and continuing to have attendance and events moving forward. We'll also have Janelle as the young member coordinator, and I'll explain her role a little bit later on in this presentation to explain where we're planning on taking the initiative next year and how we grow it. And then Janelle is going to be helping coordinate between me and Patrick, and along with all the other societies that we're going to be working with that I'll mention here in a minute. So on an update, so right now our young member attendance has definitely grown. We've had a lot of events. We've had a lot of attendance. We've had a lot of groups set up, just like Patrick set up a golf league that meets on a weekly basis. We've had professional development series. We've had stuff like having home buying 101 seminars, just stuff that gets young members through the door, gets them interested, gets them motivated to come to our events. We've set up a succession plan. As I mentioned, we have Patrick and Janelle that are being groomed from now through the end of the year. They attend all the board meetings. They make sure they understand what the overall vision is for SAME as a local Houston Galveston post. We want to make sure that this initiative doesn't take away from what the board actually does. We want to be able to use this initiative to strengthen the post. We want to be able to help the post, and we know if they need volunteers at certain places, get the young members there. If they need help putting events together, the young members are there. When we put JETSI together, we had over 70 70 volunteers show up, and a lot of them were young members. We kind of want to be the backbone for the local post versus trying to take away from it. So our membership has gone up. Our young members are motivated. They're going at this really hard and putting a lot of events together, and I'm very, very proud of everything we've been able to do so far. Here's just a couple of pictures for some of the events that we've done. We did a home buying seminar, 101. We got some local realtors and the people that work at title companies, and we explained to all the people who just graduated, or people, young people just getting married or just trying to buy a house early on, and understand the process, just to make it a little bit easier on them. And then we also had a happy hour where we had a 50-50 raffle. People purchased raffle tickets, and you split the proceeds with one winner, and the rest of the proceeds go to the Young Member Initiative. So far, we've been able to piggyback on a lot of the events that the local post put together. For example, we have had the banquet, and we had a silent auction that was put together by the Young Member Initiative. And we've been able to generate enough money to support ourselves, and we haven't needed any money from the post to take it out of that budget. The post did provide us with a stipend of $5,000 if we did need it, in case we'll be purchasing some T-shirts or some hats, as you can see in the picture that we've given out to a lot of our members. But so that stipend is there in case we need it. But so far, we've been the fundraising committee is doing a great job, and we've been able to bring in our own revenues and use that to spend for the society. So that's pretty much it. What we've been doing so far. Moving forward, this is my vision, and this is what I'll be taking on this upcoming year. We've reached a point where the Young Member Initiative has come to life. That we have young member attendance. It's going strong. Next year, when Patrick takes over, he'll still be able to go through the annual plan, set some new goals for next year, do some local stuff just for SAME. I've been looking at the vision of how can we make this bigger? How can we bring more people through the door? How can we bring more people to join SAME? And one thing that we've seen is, and especially in Texas, and I'm sure these societies, they're all over the nation. We had the Young Member of the Year award dinner. And attending that dinner, we saw the best and brightest from all the societies get awards for all their work that they've done, with their respective organizations. And the idea came to light where, why can't we have a Young Member Initiative that goes citywide, and you have one representative from each of the different societies in town be represented on this board of directors, where we can actually leverage members from each of these societies to attend events that we put together. So when SAME puts together, let's say SAME puts together a webinar, not a webinar, but some event at a local place in Houston, and all they have is SAME people show up. What if that was advertised to all the other societies in town, where you can actually network with people in the American Society of Civil Engineers, or the American Society of Engine Engineers, or people in the petroleum world, or public works? I know we have joint meetings with a lot of these other societies in town, but there's really nothing formalized where an event can be advertised to all these different societies. So we came up with taking the Young Member Initiative citywide and having one platform for all the organizations to use, where events can be put on, and then you can have members from all the different societies show up to that. The key to this is having SAME manage this initiative. So I'll be on the board of directors for the Young Member Initiative when we take it citywide, and then I'll also act as a liaison between SAME and the rest of the organizations. So this is just a good way to be able to leverage some of those other members to joining SAME and growing the local chapter and the local post even more than it already has grown. So far, we've had 5 commitments. We've had the American Society of Civil Engineers, the American Society of Indian Engineers, the National Society of Black Engineers, Texas Public Works Association, and the Water Environmental Association of Texas. And I'm still working on 8 other societies. I'm having to meet with each of the board members for each of these societies to get a commitment from them. Once we do have the commitment, we'll be creating a local platform on a website where all the societies can pretty much log on there, and then I'll be formalizing this even further, putting a packet together showing how everything's going to be split up, who does what, the financials. So it's still very early on. I'm still working on the details of it, but that's the vision for 2017 and 2018, and hopefully this is something that can bring a lot more traction to the SAME post for the Houston-Galveston areas, and then hopefully this is something that everyone else can use in a lot of the other places around the nation. And that's pretty much all I had for the presentation. I am open for questions right now. There's my email. That's my private email, so you can shoot me an email anytime to set up a time to talk to me. I'll be more than happy to walk you through just some of the issues that we've dealt with and how we overcame them, and help you maybe come up with a customized plan just based on your geographical location and just some of the personal issues that you all deal with in your respective locations. So Matt, I'm going to turn this over to you and see maybe if there's any questions. I know there's one question on here so far.
Awesome. Hey, thanks very much, Omar. And I think I undersold you in the intro, saying this wasn't revolutionary. I mean, this is an extraordinary initiative, and I'm pretty blown away with not only what you guys have done in a relatively short time, how you've energized young member participation in your post, but I mean the vision to take it citywide. And I could certainly see application SAME-wide throughout our society. I'm pretty blown away. So great presentation. Thanks for sharing that with us. Opening up to questions now. See the one right there from Jeffrey Sorensen. I think you may have already covered that in the presentation, but he wanted to know if the committee chairs are also young members. I assume all of these, everyone who participates in the YMI are young members?
Yes, so typically, so the definition of young members is anyone who's at the age of 39 or younger. We are way lower than that in terms of age. Usually the people in our initiative are people that just graduated college, usually in the first 5 years of their professional life. And but we've welcomed anyone, whoever can help out to join. We put them as a part of the initiative just to get things going. So yes, usually so far right now the committee chairs are all young members.
All right. It looks like we have another question there about how do you include active duty military members in this initiative since they're not typically a member of one post for more than 3 or 4 years. Now, you may not encounter that as much at Houston Galveston, but do you have any active duty participation?
So far, I haven't dealt with anyone that's in active duty. It's funny enough that you bring this up. There's one person who's actually part of. I'm going to school right now. He's part of my class, and he is active duty. And yes, it's hard that they have to leave every 3 to 4 years, but we're not in it just for our local post. We're in this for a Society of American Military and Military Engineers nationally and internationally. So we may train this person, and hopefully when they move and they go somewhere else, they can take this with them over there and be able to apply it in a lot of the other societies all around the nation.
Well, and I think Houston Galveston, you guys are a pretty unique post anyways, just because you rely heavily on non-military entities for your membership. Is that correct?
That's correct. We have a lot of public agency members. We have a lot of people in the private sector that come to the SAME. We have a lot of civilians in our posts. So yeah, you're definitely correct with that.
Well, and I'm pretty excited that you guys are able to get so many participants from the younger member population. I think at most posts I've been involved in, the active young members are pushing the higher end of the spectrum, if you will. Do you all tie into student chapters at all with your initiative?
I'm glad you brought that up. Definitely, we have a chapter, the Texas A&M University, and actually, I'll back up here on the slides just to be able to illustrate this a little better. So under our outreach committee with David, we have this entire group of people actually go up to the Texas A&M chapter and help build them up. A lot of these individuals here have experience with local, working with their respective university chapters, and we've been working really hard to try to get the A&M chapter, strengthened. And a lot of those people at A&M, when they graduate, they usually get jobs by the networking that they do with the society. So when that does happen, they get hired in Houston a lot of the times, and they join the local post, and then we get them to join the Young Member Initiative, and it's a full cycle. So students turn into the leaders for our post.
That's fantastic. Now I see a question here from Ray about getting a copy of the slides. Omar's been gracious enough to provide a PDF packet to the headquarters with all the information he's presented today, and we're going to go ahead and send out a link to not only this presentation but to the packet of information on our website as well as our LinkedIn. So you'll be able to access all the information he's provided, because as everyone's heard, his vision here is to spread this word and help other posts help develop this as well?
So
I see another question from. Oh, go ahead, Omar.
Oh, no.
Jeff, in response to your question, these committees are in addition to and separate from the post committees. So not only is there a post board with different committees attached to it, like the environmental committee, et cetera, we also have this young member initiative that has committees separately within it that help to provide support for the post committees in addition to hosting events on their own.
Do you find that a lot of your young members hold positions on the Young Member Initiative as well as post committees?
So since this is, it's a very young program that we just got started, so far I'm the only person who serves on both the board and on the Young Member Committee group. And moving forward, I don't think I'm going to have that happen just because I want people who come fresh into SAME to be able to serve on a level that's going to require them a lot less responsibility in terms of the board, just so we can train them up to the point where they can serve on the board and have 1 or 2 years of experience under their belt, so that when they do take over and a lot of the decisions they make affect the entire post, at that point they're ready to take that leadership responsibilities on.
And do you find that your chairs, I know you have a position on the post board, do you find that your chairs have direct links to the respective chairs on the post committees as well?
Yeah, definitely. Patrick, if you can unmute, I'll let you take this. So Patrick he's on one of the committees, and I think he'll be the best person to answer this.
So we have been dealing directly with a lot of the post board members as well as chairs in coordinating with events. Particularly right now, the fundraising committee is actually coordinating with the clay shooting committee, where we are going to have an event set up in June where we have a clay shoot. And so part of what the fundraising committee is doing is working at getting prizes together and different raffle items for that committee, for that event, so that we can have that fundraising aspect within this other event. So we're providing support to the greater post for this particular event. And this is seen in many other events too, like when Omar mentioned the public agency banquet that we did in, I think it was December or January, when we ran the silent auction there. We were providing a service and support that tied in nicely with the main post event.
And just to add on to that, there was the concern from the post that there might be a gap between what the young members are doing and versus what the post is doing. So we're actually putting together a retreat where the Young Member Initiative and the post board are going to meet up, spend a day or 2 days together to go through some training, and have each of our chairs, talk and coordinate with the actual post directors, and use that to bridge the gap between what we have going on with what the post is doing. Because the last thing we want to do is cannibalize ourselves and take away from what the board is doing. We're trying to set a backbone to help the boards in times that they need the most, and just get motivation going with the post.
Do you find that a lot of young members attend the post meetings as well?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Can you say that one more time, please?
Oh, sorry. I was just wondering, since you have your own meetings as well, do you find that your young members participate in the normal post meetings a lot as well?
So the meetings that we have are actually not general membership meetings. We just hold events. So maybe a professional development seminar, or some happy hours. What the post board does, or what the local Houston Galveston Post does, is just they have their general meetings, their monthly meetings, and we ask all of our young members to attend those, because that's where the real networking happens. That's where you actually talk to the board and talk to people who have been in the industry for a lot longer. So we definitely try to have all the young members push them to attend these events.
Looks like we have a question from Ray there. Have you identified any challenges with getting people from other professional organizations involved with your Young Member Initiative?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you, Ray. Yes, it's been the most difficult part is the coordination. A lot of different societies in town have a lot of different times that they meet with their boards. So getting everyone in the same room just to talk about what we're trying to present, what was the hardest part. Now, when we were able to coordinate that and get in the same room with them, they loved the idea. I mean, there's really no negative side to them joining it. There's no financial burden. They're tapping into members from 10 to 15 other societies in town to attend their events. It opens up a platform for everyone to network across many different disciplines. It's a win-win for everyone. And with SAME coming into the picture and us managing it, we can definitely use that to have people show up to our events more and get more people through the door.
Another thing that I'd like to mention too, and that was a great explanation, Omar, but another thing that I would like to mention is that the young member events are not exclusive to young members only. These events, although they are being put on by the Young Member Initiative and the chair members of the Young Member Initiative, they're open to the entire post community. So it's not an exclusive young member event. We're really trying to help bridge that gap a little bit between some of these older members and the younger members. With the golf league that I've put together, it's been a very good tool to help some of the younger members speak with some of the seasoned professionals in the field on a more casual, not suit and tie basis, and you're really creating lasting bonds doing it in a non-official capacity, so to speak.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah, that was actually tied into a question I was going to ask is, have you been able to leverage your SAME fellows at your post for your events?
Definitely. I think one of the things that we're trying to work on now, Elizabeth Parent, the post president, she's trying to put together a mentorship type of thing where you get your fellows and more of your senior folks, people who have been in the industry for a while, to pretty much submit an application along with a lot of mentees to submit an application, and they pair you up with a mentor that you can, which a lot of them are fellows, and use that to just get some mentorship going and train these young folks to becoming the future leaders for the local post.
One other thing I've heard based on the article that you wrote in the newsletter or whatnot is some smaller posts who may see this a little bit intimidating because they look at your young member team and that's a lot of people. What would you say to folks when they ask you if this is a scalable initiative?
That's a great question. It's definitely, it seems intimidating, but we didn't start like this. I'm at this point, I'm showing you what we've been working on pretty much for the past, I want to say around 8 to 9 months worth of work and recruiting. This is very scalable. In terms of the minimum, I guess you'd want to have to get this thing going is, I'd say, 3 people. You'd have the so there wouldn't be a young member director role at that point. You'd just have the lead person take charge of the group, and you'd have maybe 2 or 3 committee leaders, and it doesn't even have to be broken down into membership, marketing, outreach, social, and fundraising. You just have 2 or 3 people go out and start putting events together, and then when you do that and you network with some people, you just need to bring a friend in, or just bring one other person in, and if every person does that, it snowballs from there. So that's how we got going with this whole thing. We had 3 or 4 people submit these applications who we got started, and then the first responsibility I asked for each of them to do is to bring a friend, to bring a colleague, someone from work to come and join. Then when they did that, it kept snowballing from there. So now on maybe every 2 to 3 weeks, I'll get maybe 1 or 2 new people joining the initiative, and I just add them down underneath with whatever committee they want to start with. So yeah, it does seem a little intimidating for the smaller posts, but it's definitely something that's scalable. And I'm more than happy to to talk to you offline if you have something specific for your chapter or your post, and we can put together a plan to try to maybe leverage some of the information that we talked about today and just use that for your local post.
Oh, that's fantastic. And another question I had is you were talking about the application process. What was the initial response from the companies? Were companies pretty excited to support this? And then now that you've grown and matured, does it seem like having this young member initiative actually draws the companies closer to the post?
Yeah, surprisingly, at first when you ask people to volunteer, a lot of people, they're very hesitant towards it. That's why I feel like a lot of posts don't get a lot of volunteers to come help out and be committed. But when you formalize the process and you put it in an application, and then you tell the companies that you're asking for volunteers from, you tell them, we want your brightest, we want you and your top people. We're going to train them, we're going to grow them. It's a win-win situation for them as well, because they're going to have a local post or chapter help train their people, who is in turn going to they're going to become the leaders in their companies as well. If they're invested with SAME and they're becoming the leaders of SAME, that transfers into their companies as well. So we've had a tremendous response from the companies. I didn't mention this, but if you all look at the presentation and you look at the people where all the companies are, we actually have one person from from a different company for all of the people in the Young Member Initiative. You're not going to find two people from the same company. I think there's only two people at Costello, but a lot of the other people are a lot of different companies. We even have public agency. We have Harris County and we have City of Houston folks as a part of the Young Member Initiative, which is phenomenal. So we're able to get the private sector and the public sector to work together on this.
One of the things, too, coming from speaking with the other representatives from my company, they really like supporting the local post. Terracon here sees it as a fantastic opportunity to show basically our best and brightest. We have these people that can do all of these things, that can help put these events together. This is the caliber of person that we hire. We're also capable of, helping you with your project or whatever you may have. So it's a great advertising tool, too, to have your people out there doing work. And if you can sell it that way, in addition to helping to raise your people up, it is a very, very substantial benefit.
There's a question here in from Ray about if SAME as a national organization has thought about adding some of these best practices to the SAME website. Absolutely, and that's a big initiative that's come out of the headquarters recently with the new strategic plan, is capturing some of these best practices, much like this and everything else that various councils, committees, and posts do throughout the society. So we'll make sure that this is part of that that community, if you will, of best practices through the headquarters. So thanks for that suggestion, Ray. I got one real just simple logistical question for you all, because I know in the Young Member Council, communication is always a challenge, I think, in any organization. But how do you all communicate with your team, and how do you get the information out?
So that's something that's one thing we definitely wanted to work on. Right now, just when I communicate with my team directly, I have a recurring calendar appointment that's sent out to everyone, and with a call-in number. And it happens once a month, and I send out the annual plan in that invite 2 to 3 weeks before the meeting, and then we get on and we talk about it. When we communicate with the rest of our young members, as in like the whole membership, all emails come from our membership chair, Melody Clay, and the emails come directly from her. The last thing we want to do is get many different emails from different people going out to the membership. So we have one person that sends out those emails. And then if we want anything done in terms of posting on Facebook or posting on LinkedIn, that goes directly to the marketing chair. So that's another way that we go and we contact the rest of our membership. So we've broken it down to a set of responsibilities for each person and who can contact who. Usually a lot of stuff I'm copying a lot of emails with the different committees coordinating together. But eventually everything leads its way to Melody, which is our membership chair, and then she goes out and sends the email blast out, I think maybe once every couple of weeks to the rest of the membership.
Sounds like you guys have a great system for it, and I know that's always a challenge, so I'm just interested in how you do that. Do you all use LinkedIn as well?
Yes, we have a LinkedIn account for the local post. We don't separate out the Young Member Initiative from the rest of the posts, so we help manage both LinkedIn and our Facebook groups.
One of the other things that I'd like to comment too about the communication, in addition to the monthly call, each of the individual groups has meetings within themselves too. So I know Pacey and myself meet probably twice a month in addition to the monthly call, just to make sure that we are completing the tasks that we have set forth in the annual plan, and making sure that we're staying on top of all of the different aspects. And to take things even further, the fundraising crew works very closely with the social events crew. So we use their events to help raise funds. So we work with them to do different things. So there's a lot of communication happening just on a day-to-day, week-to-week level, in addition to that monthly level too, which is kind of a big check-in.
Sounds like you got a lot of really highly dedicated, committed folks, so that's pretty awesome. Open it up to any more questions that we have out there. And if not, I didn't know if either of you would have just a few final comments for us.
I just wanted to thank you all for letting me talk today and just presenting what we've been working on over the last 7 to 8 months. I left this slide up with my email address on there. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. We can set up a time to talk. And I know a lot of this information is going to be provided to you. The application process, the actual applications, stuff that you can send that to a lot of the companies you work with. So you'll have access to all of that. I just really want to try to help everyone out as much as I can and try to make your societies and your posts as successful as we've been, blessed to have here in Houston. And Patrick, I'll leave it to you, see if you have any closing remarks.
Just that this initiative has really been a really great breath of fresh air. It's been very energizing and a great growing experience. And I know that other people have benefited from it as well. And I assure you that you have folks at all of your posts that would be very, very eager to have the same experiences that we have had here in Houston.
Well, on behalf of SME and the Young Member Council, Omar and Patrick, thanks very much for providing this information and being so willing to share this success story with all the other posts, because I think a lot of folks can benefit from it. I think my most encouraging takeaways is, you're trying to create young members to be the backbone for your local posts while growing them into those leadership positions. So such a worthwhile initiative, and I'm glad it's going well, and I hope all the folks that were on the call were able to take something from it. And we'll hopefully reach out to you offline too if they want to try to apply this at their post as well. Two plugs, I guess, before we go is I encourage everyone and invite everyone to join in our monthly Young Member Council call next Thursday, the 12th of May at 12 o'clock Eastern Time. We have them every second Thursday of the month at 12 o'clock Eastern Time, so all are welcome to join on those calls. And then, of course, we have our annual SAME conference, the Joint Engineer Training Conference, coming up in a few weeks in Phoenix, the week of 23 May. So hopefully everyone is participating or planning to join us there. We have a very robust young member program that week, and really, really excited about everything that's going to happen there. So hopefully you're planning to join us. So with that, Omar and Patrick, thanks again for doing this. And for everybody on the call, thanks for joining us. Thanks for volunteering your time here to try to improve yourselves and your posts. And all the information from this call we posted again on our LinkedIn page and our website, our Young Member Council website through the SME page. With that, thanks again, and everybody have a great day.
Thank you.